All right, folks. Hopefully this dang thing is working. See some people are already here. Feel free to drop something in chat. Right. All right, popped out the chat. Oh, Lord. Papa Evely's come by to visit. How you doing, doctor? My gosh, it's been a long time. You going to be in Atlanta? See you there, Chief. That's going to be awesome. We didn't get to hang out last time. I guess I was, what? I was feeling like cliquish or something. And, man, I had so much fun in Dallas, though. Good God, I had so much fun in Dallas. I was threatened that someone is bringing her class today. They were going to have lots and lots and lots of questions, so I should probably get my OneDrive up. Dude, if I'm bringing the chainsaw, what do you think I'm going to mount it to? It's going to be mounted to the keg, man. I have only ever driven through Atlanta. I have never been there to hang out, check out, and whatever. And I have at least two friends that grew up in and around the area. And I am hoping um, that they will share with me whatever wisdom they can. I haven't even had a chance to, I mean, God, I've been so busy down here, dude. I haven't even had a chance to see, like, what are the cool places. And I did a shout out to Matt Buell over in Arkansas. And I'm like, so have you looked up any place to eat yet? And he hasn't gotten back with me and being like, nope. And I'm like, bro, that's the one thing. Usually by now you've got a whole list of things that we got to try, we got to eat. He back in Dallas, he found this one diner, the Starlight Diner, I think it was. World of Coke. Okay, now you piqued my interest. I gotta check this out. There's a big old Coke store over at Disney Springs. World of Coke. No kidding. All right. I'll take my high sugar fructose cancer, except I'll fruit. Okay. My daughter's mother was an absolute Coke fan. Had like every one of their winter things back in the day. Lobby in the Loft, Hub, Groups, Explore. Dude, okay. This looks kind of sort of like the one over at Disney Springs. 3D theater. All right. Someone else was telling me about the Delta Museum. Talking with one of my students, and she said usually once a year, Delta also does some sort of flea market sort of thing, and they just put everything on display and away we go. Might have been something that happens over here at the museum. That looks cool. Way back in the day, I dated a girl, and her grandfather, God rest his soul, who passed away, he was big, 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 big time in one of the airlines. I can't remember if it was TWA or Delta. I think it was Transworld because I remember his airline had since passed on to the great beyond. Okay, so Dr. Evely, in my defense, I have input everything into the tracker. The report is done, and I am simply waiting for my age brackets. So I understand that the programmer is going to run a report and send us all the data. And I'm telling you, if I don't see it, if I don't see that thing tonight, then I'm absolutely going back in and I'm just pulling it myself, typing in my numbers and being done with it. Because if I wasn't waiting on that, my exceptions are done. Everything is done. I'm just waiting to plug in the numbers for the age groups. Merlina, hey, how are you? Did the manually? I had to do all the exceptions, dude. I have 9 exceptions this time around. 9 exceptions, mostly sciences, couple of double dippers. I couldn't believe it. Like I could not believe the number of exceptions. And the people that I flagged internally, I'm like, dude, how long have they've been gone? They've been gone. They weren't gone. Uh, I'm having an average of 8 months from point of graduation, and it is a curse that I cannot seem to break down here. And not from my lack of trying, because we do make them pay for the exam before they leave. So Atlanta Aquarium, check that out too. I'm going to get up there a little bit early, like a day early, so I can help Rob set up if he needs anything. Aquarium. Ooh, they got a botanical garden. I have to check that out. Aquarium looks cool. Pictures look cool. So, like, it's time for a new video on that topic. So it's official. I posted it on Facebook. I know you don't check on Facebook, but I am no longer the coordinator at Miami-Dade College. I was formally announced stepping down to the advisory committee last week. The last act I had on my plate was to complete the annual report, and the cover letter states that, "Yep, here's your new coordinator. Vaya con Dios, my darling." So legit, that's one of the things why I'm like, you know what, I need to stop this administrative stuff. I want to go. I want to start having fun with all this technology crap. I want to start doing things that I want to do, and I just want to get back to full time teaching. Like I miss not just focusing on my teaching and creating stuff and coming up with ideas and coming up with different projects and stuff. So it was like, hey, you know what? Time for me to kick back, and we're all in agreement. So it wasn't like one of those things where I'm getting pressured to go out or whatnot. Um, and I actually think that with my exceptions this year, that we should at least be over one of them over 60%. We should. I'm hoping. If not, we should be pretty dang close. So I can't remember what Florida State looked like, but it looked like St. Pete was in good shape on one and not in good shape on the other. And I think we're the exact opposite. Like I didn't bother trying to run my numbers and see what craziness was going on. So I was just like, okay, just by eyeballing this should put me pretty close to where it is. So that in and of itself is a massive improvement. If I just get people to get in there and take the foolish thing. Dude, they do shark dives. What? Oh, shark's gonna eat well if they throw me in that cage. Hell yeah. I think that'd be a pretty good one-on-one, me versus a shark. He's trying to eat me. I think he's sushi. I'll beat his ass. So I'll make sure they got some wasabi and soy sauce, some sticky rice. That shark's gonna have it coming. So Atlanta. Next places to eat. Yo Yelp page. Swim with whale sharks. I've thought about doing stuff like that actually, like legit, because I'm a certified scuba diver. And another thing that I want to get back to having a life, because like the administrative aspect of the job just overtook me. I was constantly just working and working and working, because I will literally work myself into a grave if I don't put my foot down and say stop. And I just simply couldn't say stop because stuff, I just couldn't do it. Here we go. Atlanta Magazine 75 Best Restaurants. Oh crap! Right now, the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival is going on, February 8th to 21st, 2023. Okay, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, man. I can't remember, but I saw that. I think your title got a little bit longer as well, bro. Then also you got the I don't know how much you're doing, but you got the law firm, and I got bit by the bug that I want to start my own business doing something, and I've got some plans setting that up. That should be done in the very near future. So I was just like, hey, it's time. And oddly enough, it wasn't. I thought I wanted to go into, or I wanted to start my own business doing something and let me step down. It was, I planned on stepping down, and in the last like month and a half, I was just, what am I doing? My dad was a realtor doing his thing. My mom ran her own alterations business. I ran a small videography business back in college. And what am I doing now? And right now, I'm in my prime. I've got all these things going for me. I got all this education. That's, I'm probably going to end up forming the company under an auspice of probably consulting, and then using that for just any other little side endeavors I want to try to chuck into that. So I've got a couple ideas of some things I want to do. Um, Last year was really prolific for me for expert witnessing. And I was like, you know what? I should be dumping that into the business, like just ranking it up and using that instead of just always dumping my name and my SSN and stuff like that. Not even from like a tax break standpoint, just to say, hey, you're engaging a business, you're not just engaging some guy living out of his mom's basement. Yeah, I'm definitely going to hit botanical gardens. I love the botanical gardens. That's one of the things I love about Miami is they got the Japanese gardens over there just off of downtown. I've been to another garden somewhere up near West Palm. Like I'll stop and I'll go for a walk. Yeah, dude, I love expert witnessing. I just love, my god, dude. It's like what is it? The Bernie bots. The Bernie Bots jelly beans you can buy at like Barnes and Noble and bookstores, and they taste like grass, snot, vomit, and like licorice. It, it's just, it's such an awesome mixed bag. You just like, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. What did you just say? You're, what happened to your client? Oh my god. Yeah, I'm interested. Hell yeah. I'll do this one for basically a 12 pack of bud and some juji fruits. This is great. I just want to see how this rolls out. I found out that Florida's crazy though. Florida's got some serious we don't want you suing funeral directors going on. And I didn't know that until I was helping out with a couple of cases this year. And there's two things in Florida that kill lawsuits before they even start. And the first is there is a rule against you pursuing a tort action if the tort arises from a contract, which here in Florida, just about every negligence interaction you're going to have at a funeral home isn't just that's how you form the relationship. That's how you form the duty, is through the contract. It's not just we have a duty just to go pick up bodies on the street and not mess them up and not embalm them wrong. We gain all of that duty as soon as we sign a contract. So there's that aspect that just crunches it. And then the other fun part is there is legit in the Florida statute a statement. I forget where it is, but it says basically you can sue. What do we call them? Monument brokers. You can sue all of the ancillary industries, but you cannot sue a funeral home based on for the same exact things. Like it says, here's all the things you can sue people for, and then this does not apply to funeral directors. You can't sue them for this sort of thing. So they get a limited liability from the statute automatically, and then they can also reflect on this other thing, which I haven't done any research on it, but I'm willing to bet it came from contract law. Like it's got to be something that was dragged over from contract or from construction law, because I've never heard of something like that. And we have cases that are in Gilligan's book, even that are just kind of like, well, how the hell did they argue that? Good funeral home lobbies? Oh, hell yeah, dude. You know, that guy was probably driving like a custom McLaren. Skillapons, what's going on, man? I shouldn't even say good funeral home lobbyist. It's like good corporate lobbyist. That's corporate interest 101 right there, dude. I'm hoping to see. I've got a student, not in any of my classes right now, but I got a student that's stationed in Spain. She said she's going to take a little nap before she jumps in, says hi, and I'm like, I'm waiting for her to show up. I might even just like Facebook her and say, "Wake your ass up." I think next time I do this, I think I'm gonna try to find a way to scale this using Zoom, so that way there's like physical interaction, or at least teleconference interaction. I debated investing some cash in actually streaming software, and I was like, you know what? Let me just see how this works out. Let me see if I have a good time with this and go from there. First of all, thank you for being an awesome educator. You are welcome. Fill my funeral education class of 2021 tips. Hell yeah! There you go. Sadly, have to leave. But my question is, what are your thoughts on Gen Z entering the profession? That's really complex. That's really complex because as a Gen Xer, most of my generational peers think that Gen Z or anyone after millennials is absolutely useless. Um, and the president of Warsham, Lily McMurray, does a great presentation on how these different generations kind of interact. Gen Z by far is one of the most dedicated um, generations that's out there. I mean, that's like massive. If you buy into something, you folks will work yourself to death. At least to the point where you get harmed by it, and then you'll probably start getting counseling and therapy and realizing, it's not good to work yourself that hard. Um, I don't think you folks have, and I think this is where you all get a bad name from it. Is you don't have the same type of work ethic that, say, baby boomers, Gen Xers like myself do. I will literally, given the opportunity, kill myself at my desk. It would not surprise me that in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I'm found dead at my desk just because I just cannot stop working. That is something that I think my generation has ingrained in them that their work ethic is part of their identity. It's not one of their facets. It is exactly our identity. That's the way we were brought up. That is the way we were trained. How you work is an extension of yourself. And as time progressed, I think um, we got away from that. The millennials, the Gen Ys, the Gen Zs, you have a work ethic, but you do not value all of your worth or a substantial portion of your worth upon that. Um, I think from the feeling aspect, that is very good for if you go look in Ralph Klicker's new 21st century funeral directing and funeral service management. And I can't remember if Larry Cleveland talks about it in his books because I read that a couple years ago, and it's not the book that I use in Miami, but they talk about level one, level two, level three funeral directing. And if you are empathetic, it is probably really easy to kind of hone in on the superior service on the level two, the level three, because you're already kind of pre-programmed to go for those sort of things. Um, I, uh, I really think you folks would be really good funeral directors, but you better maintain your mental health with it, because as you are empaths, this job will eat you alive as a result. So I hope you found that kind of to be, you know, you asked a question, I gave an answer. Lacey writes, I'm scheduled to take the national boards. Good luck, Tiger. What are your thoughts on the dead simulator, death education assessment drills? So full disclosure that I know the owner. I know the owner of Death Education Assessment Drills very well. I've used his product actually in my class here in Miami. We have a class called FSC 2930L Professional Review. Other schools call this capstone. They call it mortuary compliance. Just about every mortuary school has something like this. And I actually utilize his questions in the class. So as a reinforcement tool, it's better than just buying a funeral service compend and using 30-year-old questions. As to are these board exam questions? No. He is getting these questions through other sources than that. And the one thing that is useful about anything like his service is it keeps you on task. But you can't go in thinking, oh, if I'm seeing questions on dead or I'm seeing questions in um, Cornerstones, I think it's called a Path to Success. It's a test compendium. You can buy it from fcirc.com. I am not affiliated with fcirc.com. I know the owner of that publishing company as well. Nice guy. Um, the goal to those things is to help you identify areas that maybe you need to go look something up, brush something up, try to find out where that's hidden, because that might lead you down an avenue of something that you didn't realize earlier. So the $30 for a month, it's not going to kill you. Is I guess my immediate feedback on it. I'm so overwhelmed with studying and need guidance. Yeah, and you and every other mortuary science graduate. Um, there's at least one other mortuary science professor that was in the chat, Dr. Mark Evely up at Wayne State University, the sweetest smelling university in his state, and and he's a smart guy. Like he's one of the smartest, coolest dudes that I know, and I think even he will tell you that mortuary school was challenging. And mind you, the guy's also a practicing attorney. So he's used to I think he is very well versed in the whole professional thing. And I can't tell you that too many people are going to say, yeah, I got to mortuary school and it was a joke. Like nobody says that. But it's also the same exact thing that anyone in a professional program, registered nurses, fire academy, police academy, they have to deal with this sort of like information overload. I personally feel that we have it worse because we're not just focusing um, on one aspect of something. And this is something I have long been vocal and critical about, is when you folks come into the funeral service, we're not just pounding you on one aspect of like pathology, going into microbiology, going into embalming, et cetera, and then building upon that. We do all of that on one side, and then on the other side it's like, oh yeah, by the way, This is how you have to merchandise your products. There's the type of things you have to think about advertising. Here's all these things that you have to do on this other side. And then when you go in, you're just like, oh my God, in two different directions. And that is very, very challenging. The closest thing to probably something like that would be programs of study such as law, where it's like you have the core body of law, criminal law, tort law, contracts, stuff like that. But then by the time you finish law school, it's like, okay, so what's going to be on the bar exam? Oh, just wait till you see what the essay's on. Have fun. Hope you paid attention during the review class because it's going to be on anything that falls into certain categories. About the only thing you're not going to see on there is a whole hell of a lot of like trademark stuff and patent stuff because there's a separate bar for those types of law. So that's a 6 year degree. That's a graduate degree. I think we get it. People do not give us enough credit for what we achieve when we pass mortuary school. And Doc Evely even says for sure it's a challenge. So hey man, don't believe me. I'm basically a nobody who got a master's in music and went to mortuary school. Believe it from a real academic and cool dude. Do I offer study courses for the MBE arts? No, I do not. I offer no such products. I offer no such products, unfortunately. Jenna, what's up? How you doing? Happy Friday. Now, that being said, if you throw a question at me like on a YouTube video or something like that, I'm probably going to answer it. But the truth is, I simply don't have the time with my teaching duties and wanting to these days have a life to then sit there and offer like one-on-one counseling or stuff like that. It is challenging. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone's trying to. Like legit, Lacey. Everyone is trying to do this. And I can't speak for Dr. Evely up at Wayne State, but I'm seeing here in Florida, and I am a graduate of St. Petersburg College, my alma mater, and I am very, very well acquainted and dare say even friends with my professors who are there. And I'm also very friendly with the head of the program at Florida State College at Jacksonville. And St. Pete forever has just had so many people he doesn't know what to do with. Then Florida State College has increased their enrollment by like 200 or 300%. Down here, we increased by probably 150 to 200%. And from all the interactions I have with people throughout the United States at all the different schools, they're having record numbers of people coming. But the problem is they don't realize that, hey man, this is a very particular skill set, and schools are. I think one of the challenging problems that the schools are going to have to address in their own states is they're going to have to really start thinking about the standard of when people come in, because the federal government does not want people wasting federal financial aid money just going to school and spinning their wheels in the mud. We saw that under the previous administration. I don't know how this is going to go as it goes forward, but everything that I'm seeing is that you need to be really good stewards, especially if you live in a conservative state, of the monies that are coming to your institution. It's why you need to be making sure people are coming to class, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Again, people do not realize how hard it is, and a lot of people just want to come in because it's like, oh, it's cool, or you're not going to have to interact with people. Um, Even if you want to be embalmers, and this is a golden age for people that want to be embalmers because so many of them are retiring, because we are seeing a divided workforce. There are people that desk jockey and there are people that are prep room rats. You are going to have to interact as a prep room employee and supervisor with the general public, because the desk jockeys in some states might not even have the education they need to be able to discuss what it is that you do and the concerns and the problems and how to present that to the family so that they're aware that, hey, we can't just walk in and wave our magical funeral director wand and find out that everything is going to be just absolutely glorious. There are wonderful professionals in the market. You have really wonderful people like Monica Torres. You have the new author of the new main author of the embalming text, Sharon G. Mascarello. She's brilliant. She is so brilliant. Um, you have so many cool people right now that are giving just prime instruction. There is going to be an increased amount of interaction with the general public. You're in Indiana. You're up in Ovincennes territory. It's a very romanticized profession. Um, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You do have influencers on TikTok, and again, full disclosure, I know a couple of those influencers personally, and they generate interest. That's an important thing. Generating interest in the profession is a very, very important thing, and in that aspect, TikTok is great for that. The problem is everyone might be thinking that's what happens in that. You have all sorts of people fanboying, fangirling all over Caitlin Doty and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, man, yeah, she graduated from Mortuary, she graduated from Cypress College in California. I know an instructor there, another phenomenally talented lady. I think she's going to be the coordinator again. She's going to be taking that program back over. But Caitlin is a full-time documentary person. She is not in the weeds grunting, doing the stuff on a daily basis, but she inspires people to want to go into the industry. Like him or hate him, Luciano Pavarotti was a phenomenal opera singer, one of the most popular opera singers of his age. As an artist, as a singer, he's not bad. He's not great. If you are in the industry and you understand singing, um, you understand that he had a good instrument, but there's a lot wrong with him. But he put opera on the map and he made people want to listen to it. And because he became a celebrity opera star, all of opera improved for it. Even if people, quote unquote, didn't know better, that his technique wasn't the best technique out there. Of the three tenors, you had him, you had Carreras, and you had Domingo. Pavarotti's voice started to go. He had to really rest. Carreras, the same exact thing, started having to be very selective as he got older. And Placido Domingo was singing up until the point that they busted him for being a pervert. And his voice is still solid, and he's probably in his 90s. And that's because his technique is damn near flawless. Uh, I love Funeral Babe. I don't know Funeral Babe. Just so happens we can look that up because the internet is a wonderful place. Let's see. Ugh. Okay. Right. Just made she look like Michael Jackson. I'm in my first live stream already talking shit about somebody. Oh boy. Well, good for her. Um, seems to have made, well, not a lot of videos popping up for her. Just got the one here. So I'm hoping it's the one you're talking about. Oh yeah, I'm absolutely a savage. I'm also a savage to myself. So I will absolutely call myself out. I try to be very careful when not jumping into like the deep end of the pool on something before I know at least enough about it. And hey man, if you're gonna put yourself out there, you have to have a thick skin. Someone's gonna make fun of you in jest or not in jest, and you just have to kind of like shrug it off, like, oh, okay, hey, that's cool. Like I found out that someone steals my stuff and sells it to you folks. If you go on Etsy, there's a store called Death by Becca. She's got some wonderful study aids. She charges you $10 for my PowerPoints that were on iTunes University and other places for free. Legit. Feel free to pay the $10, help support her habit, whatever she does with the money. And you will see that those are my PowerPoints in printed in outline format or in notes format. And I'm like, hey, whatever. Call it out. Uh, Y'all got a lot of changes happening in Indiana too. Like I was listening in on some of the Indiana stuff that's going down up there right now, and I am acquainted with Jeff Hodgson up at Vincennes University. In fact, I'm still teaching at Vincennes University. That was Vincennes was the first school. Like I am loyal. I am loyal unto death. Vincennes was the first school that gave me an online teaching job, and I have taught there ever since. And when I'm ready to retire, as long as they will have me, I will continue to teach at Vincennes because they took a shot on me and gave me my in. Graduate from Mid America. Who do I know is at Mid America? There's been a lot of fluctuation with the Pierce mortuary colleges, and there's so many people in different areas. Like I know a bunch of people from Dallas. Uh, Funeral Service. I don't think I know anybody at Gupton Jones, but I should know somebody at Mid America. Let's see, faculty. Here's about faculty and staff. Here we go. Who do I know? I know none of those people. I know Mitch Mitchell, the president by association. Just like I know of him, I know his face, but I haven't like sat down and had beers with him. Let's see. Okay, here's the faculty. Okay, I know Taylor. I know Taylor Dart, at least in passing. Up, Mary Rutan's there. I know Mary. Mary was a former coworker of mine. She is such an amazing person. She's cool as hell. Like I drove up to her neck of the woods here in Florida and had dinner with her. Um, God, she's just such wonderful company. Yeah, I think those are the only two. I think I know Elisa Ruth. I think I know her. Piedmont. I do know some people at Piedmont. Let's see. Dave Martin. I think he just retired. I know Dave. I know Dave. Technical College Funeral. Yeah. I think Dave was the program coordinator. Diedrich Gant. I know Diedrich's name, but I don't think I know him personally. And I don't know who your other faculty is there. Like, I want to visit Vincennes in the worst way because they have the Red Skeleton Museum on their campus. And I'm like, I'm just looking for an excuse to get to Indiana. Like, I even thought about, hey, do you mind if I crash one of your commencement ceremonies just so I can go visit the museum? Um, what brought me here this evening? 1,000 subscriber perk. That's what brought me here this evening. And I'm debating making this a Friday thing. Like that's what this is basically is a proof in concept. Are people going to show up? Are we going to talk about cool stuff? Like am I just going to have to sit here and pound adult beverages every time like someone else joins into the chat? Um so this might be a thing. This might be a thing where I do this like maybe once every other or once every 3 years, once a month. Like I'm having fun. Like I'm legit having fun doing this. So I live in Evansville. You can crash my house. Sweet. I'll bring the Chihuahua. I legit left the dogs downstairs. Professor Bite Bites. He was grumpy when I got home. He just kind of looked at me like, "You've been working too much this week. I haven't seen you. I haven't been on your lap. Don't talk to me." And the big guy just like plop nap. 9 Chihuahuas. Ooh, ooh. That's a lot of attitude, man. My little 4 pounder is a lot of attitude. Can't imagine having 9 of them. I love the breed. I absolutely love the breed. Mini schnauzers are cool. Mini schnauzers are really cool. I've never owned one. A former professor of mine who is now the dean of music at the University of North Texas, Dr. John Richmond, the Mac Daddy of solfege. Speaking of another brilliant dude, that dude is brilliant, and I really did not appreciate the fact that I got to work under him when I was in undergraduate. I think he's got a miniature schnauzer. Can't remember what bear is. Maybe bear's not a schnauzer. I can't remember. A bunch of killers. Yeah, mine is God. That's probably why I love them so much. Everyone just has such a distinct personality. Like every Chihuahua is its own dog. They don't all act like Chihuahuas. Some are super sweet. Some are completely grumpy. They're just nuts. Uh, Best tools to study for the MBE arts. I've been out of school for 10 years. That's a really bad disadvantage. Um, you're honestly, after 10 years, your best bet's going back to mortuary school and taking a couple of courses, at least in the core items, like going back and taking like an embalming course, going back taking probably restorative art, maybe a funeral directing course with a merchandising course, something like that. You're going to have to teach yourself everything that you learned in school. Good news is there's a lot of stuff that's still the same, but after a decade, there's enough of a difference that you need some new books. You're going to have to. That's hard, man. I'm not saying you can't do it, not by any stretch of the imagination. I have at least 3 success stories in my 10 years here in Miami where people came back after 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, and they pulled it off. They pulled it off really good, but they basically just locked themselves at home and came out only to go to work, get food, and come to school. Um, they had a really hard time with it. So your best bet is purchase the National Board Exam Study Guide. I believe that is now the 13th edition. A lot of people will say it's useless. I'm even guilty of saying that it's not as useful as it should be. Okay. Full disclosure there. You need to really pay attention to the professional expectations and the content outlines for each one of the exam sections. And then you have to tie those items to textbooks and find where those concepts are, because that is the exam. When they say we're going to have, 27 questions out of embalming, what does embalming entail? And it tells you all the topics in embalming and how they want you to kind of view it. That's how you have to go back and look at the material and bring that back. That's how you're going to have to prepare for the exam. And the one thing I'll tell anyone who watches this live and who might watch this in the future, when you go and take a boarded exam, God forbid you fail it, do not go back home and just study the stuff that you think you failed. You're never going to see that exam again. You will never see that exam or those questions again. So if you just go out, go back and start reading and studying the stuff that you saw, that's going to put you at just as much of a disadvantage going into the next exam because you're going to get a completely different instrument. So if you're looking for textbooks, um, Thanos Institute out of New York has excellent textbooks. That's Dr. Ralph Clicker. He's got a book on thanatology, funeral service counseling, and oh god, what is it? It's a great cover. Funeral service counseling or funeral service psychology and counseling or something like that. You have his 21st Century Funeral Directing and Funeral Service Management. His previous edition of that is a textbook that's been in the market for probably close to like 20 plus years, easy. You also have Hudson Valley Press. This is a relatively new publisher, probably in the last 7 years when Mr. Larry Cleveland started publishing his books. They're excellent textbooks as well. He's got some on merchandising, business law, funeral law. fcirc.com is the Funeral Service Education Resource Center. He's got books on restorative art, funeral directing, um, all sorts of books. I mean, there is so much new stuff that's out there that you can use to prepare for the board exams. You're welcome. Good luck with it. I mean, the goal of tonight, honestly, was whatchamacallit, was for people to bring questions about materials. Like legit, when this started, and I was talking with Dr. Evely, I actually pulled up my OneDrive. So if someone like asked a question on a piece of subject matter or something, I could just like dive in, kind of pull it out if I don't remember it off the top of my head. Dude, we've almost killed an hour. And I think I've done pretty good, man. We've kind of hovered right around like at the lowest point there was 4 people. We're kind of hovering right around 8 right now. I think that's pretty good for a nobody loser like myself. Throwing a live stream up here. Oh, there's my girl. There's my girl. Professor Grande, how are you, dear? Not a loser. My coworkers beg to differ. And for those of you over there at Cypress College, you have one of the most brilliant and amazing professors that you could ever possibly want. And I'm not just saying that because she's a wonderful, brilliant, and beautiful person. I'm saying that because she is legitimately a wonderful and beautiful and brilliant person. I first attended an American Board of Funeral Service Education convention in I think 2014, and the friendliest person in the world by the name of Jolena Grande. Um, I just she's infectious. She's legit infectious. And I think I actually met you prior at the international conference, the only international conference meeting I ever went to. I met you there, and then I saw you over at the ABFSC meeting. And amazing, 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 amazing person. If I had it to do over, I might go to school in California. Well, I'm telling you right now, I am way too Florida man to ever move to California at this point. I wouldn't be able to handle your state, and I don't think your state could handle me. I'd be in prison within probably 7 days. I'm gonna do something stupid that's gonna upset somebody over there. If you got a class going, feel free to throw some questions up there in the chat. I didn't realize I got a Facebook DM from a gentleman that's pretty cool, runs a pretty cool grief site on Facebook called Todd. And I guess you have to have an account to be able to type things up. Florida man? Hell yeah. Bruh, I'm from Miami. Well, I'm not from Miami. I'm from Massachusetts. Then I relocated to Tampa Bay. And then I got a job offer to teach here in Miami, and I took it. And I've been in Miami since 2012. I now live in Lauderhill. So I have lived in Florida longer than I ever lived in Massachusetts. People can talk all the crap they want, man. Florida is a wonderful state to live in. It's a wonderful state to live in. You better like monsoon rains, but it's a wonderful state to live in. What state would I live in if I could live anywhere? That is a very good question. Man, My problem is I wouldn't want to live in the United States. And that's because I traveled to Ireland. I went on a pilgrimage with my Catholic church to Ireland in the year 2000. And if the opportunity ever gave itself, I would absolutely emigrate to Ireland. I loved Ireland. And I dread visiting Scotland sometime in the near future because I think I'm going to fall in love with that place. But I absolutely fell in love with Ireland. Um, so I would live in Ireland at the drop of a dime. Um, if I had to live here, I'd probably say somewhere around Carolinas, Tennessee, Arkansas, somewhere around there. I've actually thought about moving to some of the frigid north, like over in the Dakotas or something like that, where like nobody lives. Legit, the entire state has as many people as I think we have students at Miami-Dade College. Um, um, California. So, in all fairness, I'm just not going to talk shit. Okay, California's got some beautiful places. California's got some beautiful places. Any state I live in, I'm going to be very like hypercritical of the government because I'm hypercritical of bureaucracy. I just don't like government bureaucracy. And unfortunately, places like California, places like New York, which has some gorgeous woodland areas, I just can't live there because it's just going to drive me nuts. Yeah, I mean, if you and a lot of people I know from California love it, and they miss it once they leave. I can tell you, I do not miss Massachusetts at all. I did not miss Massachusetts once I came to Florida. Karsha, how are you? Best way to remember regions of the body. Talking about the 9 region method, right? Okay. Here's the way you do it. Draw your tic-tac-toe grid. If I could share my screen and do a whiteboard, I'd do it. But the Facebook, literally, I'm a cheap ass, and I didn't want to have to buy streaming software where I could do that sort of screen sharing and stuff, just to see if people would actually show up to this. So draw your. In fact, by the miracle of modern technology, I've got something called paper. And I have a relatively expensive pen just to my left. And by relative expensive, these are the coolest pens on earth, folks. The Monteverdi. Oh, what brand? What product line is this? I don't remember. Oh, Regatta Sports. Monteverdi Regatta Sports. You can usually buy these for less than $100. The fact it's got this little magnetic cap that does this. Love this pen. Stupid love this pen. So you draw your grid, right? Tic-tac-toe. Draw your grid. Then start in the center. You put an E on top, a U, and then an HG. Just like that. Then, let's see. This is going to be almost screwed that up because I'm thinking. Now you put the rights and the lefts. Now you put the rights and the lefts. Last up, you put your H, L's, and I's. H, L's, and I's. So you have your epigastric, you have your umbilical, you have your hypogastric. Those are the original ones. Now, the good thing is gastric appears twice down the center. So if you want to do something like, I suppose a better way to do this would be put EG on the top and HG on the bottom. You could do that, simply not the way that I did it. This is the way I beat myself, beat this into my head. Then you put the R's and the L's. Remember, anatomical. This is anatomical position. And then you have to memorize hypochondriac is on top, lumbar's in the middle, iliac's on the bottom. Iliac, super easy because your iliac is on the bottom anyway. As long as you remember what your iliac crest is, you're good. Hypochondriac, that's usually the one that gives people a lot of grief. It shouldn't, because chondra, like chondroma, that is a connective tissue. And where is this region? Right below and right basically in the lower portions of the rib where the bone is back here and the cartilage is right there. And then lumbar, base of your spine is the lumbar. That's right around the base of the spine. So draw that about 40 or 50 times. I'm not joking. 40 or 50 times. And then the words will take care of themselves because, like most people, what you're going to need is you're just going to need the one push to get you where it is. And what I strongly recommend you folks do for stuff like this is professional trade schools has a anatomy book. It's like 80 or 90 bucks. Forget what it is. But you can also find any anatomy book. You can go online to Google, type in um, like abdomen, thorax, something like that, and just get a picture like of what it looks like in the embalming book, right? You can see all the guts and stuff, and then draw the tic-tac-toe grid on top of that 40 or 50 times. Write the letters in. So by the time you get a piece of paper like this, I can tell you, okay, top of the liver is over here, this is slightly higher, lower liver over there, greater omentum is in all of this stuff, small intestines, large intestines are down here, stomach is going to be over there somewhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because I've seen the picture so many times and I've drawn the grid so many times that it's just burned into my memory. So if you ever hear me say on any of my lectures that I have on my YouTube videos, draw it out like 30 or 40 times, I am literally not joking about that. My bachelor's degree, my music degrees, my master's degree are in music. When I sit down to practice something, I will play the same 3-second passage 30 or 40 times. And I will do that 20, 30, 40, 50 times, whatever it takes. And I'll do it 5 to 7 days a week until it sinks in or I just give up. And then I'll attack it again a month later, anyways, because I'm stubborn. Eventually, it sticks. There are natural limitations, but repetition is the mother of all of this. And the number one problem that I think people run into when they come to mortuary school is they try to sneak study time, and you cannot sneak study time. You can sneak study time when you first begin. But by the time you get to the end, you can't be sneaking it anymore. There's too many subjects you have to touch up on. I tell folks all the time, you need to dedicate 20 to 30 minutes every single day to study mortuary science stuff. And the first 5 to 10 minutes is you touching on something that you've touched on before, reinforcing something you've learned. And then you go on to new stuff. And as you study the new stuff, it becomes things you touch on because you've learned it. When I joined the Masons, my coach was a guy by the name of John Lumia. Love the man. And he was engineer for the trains in New York. And what they would do is they would show a picture of a route, and you'd have to tell on the exam where that route was. You have to know everything about the map you're seeing, where it is, how you get to it, all of it. And the way they did this is they got all the maps, all the routes, all the little stick drawings of the routes, and they would draw it out. They'd start with number one. When they could draw one from memory, they'd go to number two. And when they start to study, they draw map number one, and then they start drawing map number 2, 40, 50, 60, 70 times. And then when they went to map three, they would start by drawing map one and map two, then map three. And they draw map 3 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 times. So by the time they got to map 80 or 90, they could draw 89 maps from memory. And the only map that they had to remember was the one that they had just started studying and working on. That was the one that was freshest in their mind. Everything else was embedded in their heads. And by his own admission, and I do not mean this in a derogative way, he's not a bright man. He's not going to be discovering cures for cancer. That is how he learned all the maps of all the routes he ever needed. And he could just look at a map and tell you exactly where it is anywhere in the routes that he drove. But you need time. Chiefs or Eagles? Oh, Dr. Evely, you're going to hate me, dude. I don't watch any of them. There's only one sport that I watch. Honest to God, there's only one sport that I watch that I will shut down my life to watch it, and that is sumo wrestling. I will absolutely 4 times a year ignore the entire world for 35 minutes as I watch the Grand Sumo highlights on NHK so I can see what's happening over in Japan. Nope. If football disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't even notice. And I can tell you, I probably haven't watched a football game in close to 7 or 8 years. Haven't watched the Super Bowl in forever. Equally as long, if not more. Never watched baseball. Completely disinterested. Can't, not really can't. I just don't even watch basketball. I'm not interested in any of it. But sumo wrestling, the moment the basho comes up, that's it. I get home at night. I finish teaching. I go downstairs, make sure the dogs are fed, give the chihuahuas medications. In the next 35 minutes, I am watching fat men slap each other stupid. And I was lucky. I got into sumo right as Yokozuna Hakuho was just reaching his end. And now he's officially retired. And I got to see him right before he started crapping out. And I got to see the new Yokozuna, Terunofuji. I got to see him get installed. And that guy is a bear. I can't imagine how that guy. He's like Andre the Giant. He's probably in so much pain when he wrestles, and yet he just destroys everyone when he gets in there. Would you go to see live once you get it? Oh, absolutely. Like I already know in the next 7 years I'm going to Japan. Like I'm going to get off the plane, and they're going to be like, "Oh, Gaijin Kaizu!" It's going to be great, dude. They're probably going to think I am an American sumo wrestler if I don't drop some pounds. And when I get there, I'm absolutely going to wherever those big dudes get the yukata and their kimono, and I'm getting some. My buddy Tony, he was a buddy of mine from high school. I reconnected with him a couple years ago. He was just over in Japan, posted pictures all about Tokyo and all those sorts of places. And I got one of my students now who's over there. She's taking her courses distance ed, and she got the opportunity to do a work study or a study abroad for the spring. And I was like, "You're absolutely going. You're absolutely going." It's my mailman's retirement plan. Good. Hey, man. It was Anthony Bourdain that said, "Oh God, what was it? Travel is the like poison of racism or something like that." And that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. The more places you visit, the better you are for it because you just see human beings at their best. You don't see like the stuff that makes headlines. You see normal human beings. I loved Ireland. I loved Ireland. I hated Italy. I thought the Italians were the rudest damn people I've ever met. But even in Italy, there were some redeeming features. And there was a couple places that I went that would absolutely save the entire trip, excuse me, for me. I remember the trip was complicated. We used a different tour group than we did for the Ireland trip, and there was numerous issues. So first and foremost, when I went to Italy, I went to Ireland. I was there for pilgrimages. I was going there on behalf of my Catholic church, and I was a compensated song leader. So I am there on the clock. Like it's a free trip, so to speak, but I'm there on the clock, and that's what we're there to do. And I don't give a damn how uncomfortable or inconvenient. If I'm there to do the job, I'm there to do the job. So we went to a place called Cinque Terre, 5 towns. Look it up, Google it. It's beautiful. You will never see stuff like this in your life. There's nothing like this in the United States. You cannot see this in the US or Canada. It does not exist. And the bus parking is a mile something away because buses simply can't fit in these little itty bitty roads going into this town. and you have to lug the keyboard and the speakers and all that crap. So we'd been in the bus for 3.5 hours because it turned out the bus didn't fit in the tunnel to get through the mountain. So what should have been a 45-minute drive turned into an up, down, and around the mountain 3.5 hour ordeal. Two-thirds of the choir said the hell with it. They went to eat. It is what it is. Well, I can tell you that whenever choirs or things like that go to these foreign countries and they sing in these small churches and stuff, the people come out for it, man. They come out for stuff like that. You're like rock stars. So we sing in this dinky little church for 45 minutes. And unlike the United States, when it starts getting dark, a lot of the restaurants are already closed. Like everything starts shutting down super early in Italy. So basically, we're starved. We're tired. We're beat. We're about to walk another mile back to the dang bus to carry all the stupid gear with us. And the priest doesn't speak a lick of English, and very few, if any of us, speak anything other than Spanglish. So those of us who are more versed in Spanish were able to converse a little bit because Spanish and Italian are somewhat similar. And the guy keeps trying to pull us into the sacristy, and we're like, "Bruh, we just want to go. We're tired. We're hungry, and at least there's like 7 cases of cold beer on the bus." And he drags us into the sacristy, and he had like 8 pizzas sitting there, and not this American pizza crap. We're talking like basically really fresh, good stuff, and about 8 or 9 2 liters of soda of Coca Cola. That was the best damn pizza I ever ate. We were all hungry. We demolished it. That came out of the priest's pocket. He bought the pizza for us as a gesture. Put this in perspective. We pay like $1.69, $3 for like a 2 liter of Coke. 2 liter of Coke in Italy is somewhere around like $7 or $8, and this guy had 8 bottles sitting there because he wanted to treat the American choir. I would go back to Italy just to sing at his church as much as I hated everything about that trip. So Anthony Bourdain absolutely nailed it. When you go and you visit places, you absolutely just it's hard to hate other people when you've literally met them. And I remember in Florence, was it Florence? I think it was Florence. Um, my buddy Brian, big Filipino guy. God, I miss hanging out with him. He's so cool. Talented musician like you can't imagine. The guy plays like 5 or 6 instruments fluently and he's all self-taught. He's a beast. He's like, "Hey man, I found a restaurant. We gotta eat. Let's go." So we all pile in this like little mom and pop place. They don't speak a lick of English. And so now you just go, you point to something on the menu and they just bring it. That was one of the best restaurants I've ever eaten. Is this little guy and his wife running this little Italian restaurant stuffed in this side alley. Could probably sit like 5 people in the place. You just point to whatever you want, and he brought it. And when he brought enough to feed like 90 people. I mean, it was stupid. Again, another thing that salvaged that trip. Just sitting there and you're having a good time, and this guy's watching you have a good time, and so then he starts doing like little stupid things like over at the bar, like flipping spoons or something, like just showing off, and you start, I mean, god, it was just such a good time, and we did not understand a single word that I from either party. And by the time we were done, I think our bills came out to like 30 euro. The amount of food we ate, if we tried to buy that in the US at like an Olive Garden, that would have been somewhere in the like 150, 160. Just crazy, crazy amount of food for next to nothing. And everything was handmade. He made his own pastas, his own sauces, all of, oh man, everything. Nowadays, if you folks travel, you don't have an excuse. You can grab your Google device, say something, and it'll translate into the language that you want. I would have killed for something like that when I went to Italy. That would have been great because then I would have been able to have the conversation with these folks, tell them what we're there, what we're doing, maybe even sit there and do some opera singing right in the restaurant. I mean, would have been crazy. What's the go-to restaurant in your neck of the woods when they know you because you're always patronizing the location? Oh boy. You know what's funny? I don't eat out. I don't eat out. Virtually, I never eat out by myself. So I almost never go anywhere or anyone recognizing me unless I am with other people. Um, so where would people recognize? So my administrator in my building lives about 15 minutes away from me. And she introduced me to this little faux place, or pho is how it's pronounced, pho. She keeps saying pho, and it has me doing it now. Um, and it's a little mom and pop place. Seats, it has like maybe 10 tables, and they make some of the best seafood pho you've ever had in your life. Another place I found because there's this really cool thrift store over in Fort Lauderdale called Oddballs. If you're ever in Fort Lauderdale, you have to go to Oddballs Nifty Thrift. It is such a wild place. You got so much cool crap. I got like nothing in my office from Oddballs yet. I got this thing with Al Capone and a death certificate of his downstairs. I need to mount. So if I mount that, I'll probably mount it like right over here next to the closet. I think it might be just wide enough to fit that space. Um, and I found a New York deli just on the other side of Fort Lauderdale Beach. It's about a 20-minute drive out of my way, which is why I don't visit it more often. But that place has the best damn New York deli subs ever. And there's a place in Wilton Manors. There's I think what's it called? Um, Il Dolce Salato, the sweet salad, the nice salad, the pleasant salad. And their pizza, forget it, dude. That's it. Not going to eat pizza anywhere else ever again. Their pizza is the best in Miami, and their prices are sick cheap. They also make their homemade gelato. Flying Iceman asks, why did I step down? I stepped down from my position because it was eating up too much of my damn time. Like, people really do not understand how much time I had to put into that job for the amount of, and it's not a whole lot of extra money on top of being a professor. Like, my full-time job is professor. I'm not an administrator, I'm a professor. And then on top of that, they hand over a lot of the administrative duties for the funeral service program because we're the licensee, we're the people that interact and know the material, and we're the best ones to fill out any compliance paperwork and stuff like that. So, for instance, for the last 7 years, I would probably tell you up until the pandemic, I worked every day of the week in some way, shape, or form. I'd be doing something at home, or if I needed to catch up, I'd give up an entire weekend day and I would go to work, and I would work from like 10 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. And I would do this 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. And because if I'm not there to do it, it doesn't get done. That means even when the college is on break, like over the summer, we're supposed to have like 2 or 3 weeks off because we don't get vacations as professors. At least 3 to 4 days a week, I'm actually on campus doing work. And when I'm not there, I'm having to answer emails. So after 10 years of doing that, I'm just like, dude, what am I doing? Like, that's okay if I was in my 20s, but legit, I'm never going to get to Japan to see a Grand Sumo match. I'm not going to be able to visit a basho if I have to be in there processing applications. And because I'm one of those people that would rather do it myself than try to find other people to do it, because once they screw it up, I have to fix what they screw up. I just want to do it myself so it doesn't get screwed up and I don't have to deal with the backlash from it. It's a very unhealthy thing. It's a very unhealthy thing to have my type of mindset because you will just work and 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 work. And I finally said I've got to do something about it. So about 7 months ago, I discussed it with my leadership, and it's been on a plan since then to change things out. Yeah, Jelena, what is this summer break you speak of exactly? And I just simply cannot let this job consume me like that. Like funeral directing did that to me. Legit, funeral directing did that to me. That even on my days off, like I'd grab my mom and we would like to go to thrift stores. I'd get her out of the house, get her walking around and stuff like that. So if I had a funeral of a family at my funeral home or somewhere else, I would dress up in a pair of khakis, dress shoes, put on a shirt, sport coat, whatever, and I would go to the funeral home and I would visit my family. That was my call, that was my family. Just to show my face, to make sure everything, I know they're in good hands. I know my coworkers, but I would still show up and sit there and talk with the family and to have the moment or whatever, and then excuse myself after 15 or 20 minutes. Then go back to the car, and my mom understood. My mom understood why I was doing it. And then I would go and I would spend my day. And on work days, I'd clock out at 5. I'd be at the funeral home till 10 or 11 because I'd be sitting there on Photoshop or I'd be sitting there trying to figure something out to really do something cool for my family. That's what really made funeral directing fun for me when I started doing stuff like that. But it's a ridiculous time investment. And I will absolutely die happy doing stuff like that. But then I turn around and I go, well, hell, I never have time to go to Disney. I never have time to do this. I never have time to do that. When I finally do have time to hang out with my friends, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I mean, it's not a good way to live. That's why I try to tell you folks when I'm teaching things like thanatology and funeral service counseling, you have to find the balance. And even while I'm saying that, I'm not living it. And finally, now as I'm approaching my late 40s, enough is enough. And I'm not going to kill myself for a job. Just not going to do it. Uh, let's see. Whenever you said your pre-class speech Tuesday, your lecture delivery was different after that. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And I'm not saying that I'm not still a resource for the new coordinator, Dr. Tanya Scotisi. Not by any stretch. I'm not just dumping her to the wolves. I'm not going to do that. But I finally get to do things like if I wouldn't be doing this if I was still the coordinator. This would not be happening. I'd hit 1,000 people. I'd be like, oh, that's nice, that's grand. That this pays the bills. I have to focus on this. And I'm like, no, let me have some fun with this. Other people are having fun with it. Carrie the mortician is making a living out of it. Why can't I just sit there and have fun with it, just as a hobby thing? So boom, people seem to like my videos, people seem to find use in the lectures, so why not have a little bit of fun with it and spend some time with it? Why don't I make video? You if you look at my delivery dates when I post videos, what do you see? They're always when school is not in session, and I always have to try to sneak something in. If any of you've ever tried to produce a YouTube video, even the crappy ones that I upload, that's a time intensive thing. You have to record it. You have to drop it into some sort of rendering software to do some of the fun things. Learning that software, that's not usually an easy learning curve. I'm not going to pay a licensing fee. I'm going to use something quality, buy it, and go with it. So I use Adobe Premiere, I think it is. So I had to figure out how to use that. Let's see. Haven't had a summer off since I was a student in high school. Yeah, that's about right, Jolena. I'm right there with you. And this summer, I told them because we have summer assignments here in Miami. That is part of our contract. We have to work a summer semester, or I have to work extra during the fall and the spring to save up time so that I can just use that to take my summer completely off. Which I never do that. Um, I told them I'm only teaching 6-week courses, and I scheduled. I think I agreed to teach a chemistry course and I agreed to teach. I forget what else I agreed to teach. Like I don't even, I legit don't even remember. I was like, yeah, just put me on this, put me on. Oh, embalming labs. I agreed to put embalming labs, and I said I would teach the first 6 weeks of the summer semester from the second or third week of May to the end of June, and after that, I'm for the first time in my life, I am legit going to have like more than a month off, and I'm not going to know what the hell to do with myself. Um, and I told them just start stockpiling bodies because with 6 weeks, I have to knock out the summer semester folks here in Miami. That's usually the people that can't take labs because of work obligations, their teachers or something. So in the summer, they have to do all 10 of their clinicals at once and take both of our embalming labs back to back. So I have to have all those bodies lined up because from the first day we start embalming, I have to be embalming like 2 bodies every single session so that they can make their 10 by the time the semester ends because it's only going to be a 6 week semester. Dr. Evely, you need to get a life, bro. I'm going to drive my butt up to, where is it, Michigan or whatever, and drag you out of the house, man. You're going to have videos of you getting kidnapped on America's Most Wanted. You're going to have your own Netflix special. So when is your Disney adventure now that you have so much spare time? I still don't have spare time. Like, that's the crazy part. Even with the administrative stuff out, I still don't have the spare time because I have to tie all the loose ends up. So I know most of you folks know nothing about the American board or the processes, but like we can nerd out as the as our respective faculties. Um, Now that that new student tracker is out, I Mark, take care, brother. See you next time. See you in Atlanta. Um, the new student tracker collects all the data that we've been collecting, and the problem is the layout of the tracker is different than the way I have the data stored. So I need to adjust the entire application so that going forward, it's really easy just to look at the tracker like one on one screen, one on the other, and just bring the data back and forth. So the software that we use has a really steep learning curve, like a really steep learning curve. I'm not even going to try to teach Dr. Scotisi how to do that because it was a pain in the ass for me to do it. So, uh-uh. Any new teachers? Nope, no new teachers. Part of the other problem, no new teachers. We're hoping to resolve that in the next couple of months. Professor Finn graduated diffs last year. Yeah, Texas. Yeehaw. I loved visiting Dallas last year. Like, I had such a good time visiting Dallas Institute of Funeral Service. And also, I doubt anyone on here right now is from Commonwealth, but I love the Commonwealth Institute. I love the National Museum of Funeral Service History. If you folks ever have a chance to visit Texas, you have to visit the National Museum of Funeral Service History at the Commonwealth Institute. Hell yeah, dude. There you go. Congratulations. Isn't that a hell of a weight to have off your shoulder? Like when you finish that second one, it's just like I can't speak for you, but I know when I finished my second exam and I went back to my car and I sat down and was kind of sitting there, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like legit, I had no idea what to do with myself. Like, well, so what do I do now? Like, what do I study? And then I realized that I didn't have to do any of that anymore. I had to switch gears and start studying for the Florida Laws and Rules exam. But like, I didn't know what to do with myself because all the time I had put into studying and stuff like that, it was too much. It was overwhelming to be done. Next, spiritual Gemini. Thanks for showing up. Absolutely, absolutely. That's people do not realize the sacrifices you have to make in mortuary school. And the problem is that is going to continue in the profession as well. Like a lot of that is going to trek over where you're going to be losing stuff with the family. Like I am to some extent grateful that I did not have to worry about that situation when I was going to mortuary school. Like the damage was done with my relationship with my daughter and her mother and stuff like that. So they didn't have to like deal with me going to mortuary school. But working at mortuary school and trying to visit my daughter, that man, I'll tell you what, it is impossible to have a Gen Xer work ethic And I would not wish it on anybody because you become so engaged with the job that you absolutely sacrifice anything for the job because the job is what makes everything happen. It's crazy. Been funeral home for the last 5 years, 43 years old. Hey, there you go, dude. There you go. Good luck with the business. I hope it is very profitable and fruitful for you. And I certainly hope that you're able to have a work-life balance that is conducive to your family environment as well. That's probably the best compliment I can pay anyone in your type of a situation, or at least it's the best type of quote unquote blessing I can give to someone in your situation. Merlina's still hanging out. Cypress College, y'all take care. Thanks for coming out. Bye, kiddo. Oh my god, what is it with all the people on Facebook like trying to scam you for stuff? Dude, I know I'm fat, but I'm not stupid. And FYI, Burt Bacharach passed away. Chad, good night. Thanks for stopping by. Congratulations again on your board exam. Ooh, I missed this. I should probably get an account at connectingdirectors.com. This lawsuit just popped up my feed. I'm like, I didn't know they settled that Neptune Society lawsuit. Okay. Anything good hit the internet with like funeral lawsuits or something? Let's see. I know funeral fight. Let's see funeral fight. Thing happen. Oh, August. Nah, nothing cool. I did an assignment in one of my funeral law classes where find me some drama, like go on the internet and find some dumpster fire situation. And like 7 people found this one where a man tried to run over his sister at his mother's funeral. I'm like, okay, had happened in Florida. Didn't happen in Florida. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, well, damn, Florida's gonna have to catch up. Merlina, take care. Good to see you as well. Be well. If I recall, I think your dad was in ill health. I hope he is doing better. Karsha, thoughts on the woman's that was gasping for air in a body bag? What? Do tell. That sounds like fun. Let's see. Not for the woman, of course. That sucks. Uh, woman gasping air body bag. Do 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 do. New York Times 5 days ago. How the hell did I miss this? 66-year-old woman was taken to a funeral home where it works of her chest moving. Oh shit. Uh and dude, they were fined. Okay, for that level of stupidity, they're only fined $10,000. They better hope this woman has like no living relatives. They're gonna sue the hell out of them. Um, oh, this is Iowa. Okay, not that that should matter, but let's see. According to report from the state, Fancy was not named, was declared dead by staff members of Glen Oaks Alzheimer's Special Care Unit. Would love to know what modality they used to declare her dead, because the hell. Um, Live gasping for air. Dementia. Hospice. Decline. Overshift on the woman responsive. Confer with the nurse who weren't dead. What a mess, dude. Wow. So for those of you listening at home later, yeah, they legit unzipped the bag. Woman was gasping. She was in end stage dementia anyways. And even after they got her stabilized after this incident, she died 2 days later. Um, Fines her 10 grand for 2 violations. That's 5,000 each, dude. That's chump change. That's legit chump change. Funeral homes must preserve the dignity of residents. Okay, so the first thing is the state legit had no way to find these people. So they had to find anything they could possibly use to stick it to them, which fell into this, didn't preserve the dignity of the resident. Um, so I find that to be a little bit scary. Like, I would love to be on the inside of that internal investigation as to how that all went down. Like, I can't imagine they just went in there and, well, it's a nursing home. They probably did. They just walked in there and prodded around looking for a heartbeat, and her heartbeat might have been so slow they didn't hear it. Um, that's very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. And I can't imagine. We're talking about the lady. We're talking about the ridiculousness with a nursing home. I can't imagine how that is going to screw up and give nightmares to the funeral home staff. I would have lost my shit if I opened up a body bag and the person was gasping for air. I would never be able to forget that. Like, that legit might be something where I would quit just because that would freak me out so bad. Wow. I wonder if what they might do in the future. Um, I'm not going to bet money up, but I'll bet a Pepsi on it that the way they prevent this in the future is when a person passes away, that they are likely going to have to call emergency services and have like an EMT actually like run it, like run an EKG or something like that, or they might actually get like a portable EKG unit or something and hook it up just to make sure there's no electrical activity. That might be I can't imagine I mean, I can't imagine that a little portable unit just to like plug you in real quick and make sure your brain is bumping is probably the cost of the fine. So legit, they might do something like that. Yeah, that's man, that's awful. Like, I expect that sort of crap in like Latin America, like third world countries and stuff like that, just because they don't have access to the level of technology and that we have here. And I hope it's not because they had like a faulty stethoscope or something. I got like two stethoscopes downstairs. I have a cardiac stethoscope, and I got I had some money to blow last year with my flexible health fund, and I picked up a digital enhanced stethoscope, and that's crazy. So my little Chihuahua a has cardiac issues, and my Chihuahua that died a couple years ago had the same issues. So I got the cardiac stethoscope so I could listen and make sure that like her heart wasn't going too fast, too slow, stuff like that. And I was like, man, I really like this idea of this digital stethoscope, because not only does it sound cancel and enhance, I can also push a button and record it to an SD card. So I put a little micro SD in there. I can hit it. I can record it. And then I can even go so far to upload it to my phone. And if I wanted to, I could send it to my Chihuahua's cardiologist. Yes, my Chihuahua has a cardiologist. Um, if y'all looking for something to make money, become a vet and become a cardiac vet. That is a license to print money. In all of South Florida, there's only two people that have a cardiac specialty for veterinarians. One is the guy that I go to here in Davie, Florida at Leader Animal Hospital, and the other guy's in Homestead, basically Cuba Minor. That blew my mind. There's like no other doggy cardiologists. Oh, we got a couple more people joining us. Feel free to drop something in the chat, folks. Said I'd be here till at least 9. I actually cleaned up my office for y'all. I threw some kit back there. My friends over at Cape Cod Community College, Dan Shea, he sent me a T-shirt for Christmas. And I was like, I'm gonna prop that up for him. If I do this again, I have like some cooler stuff on my walls. Like I don't like how blank all that is back there, so I'm gonna definitely have to do some touch up on that back wall. Jump on Facebook real quick. I was gonna be like, "Hey, got 20 more minutes left in the live stream. Jump on in." One of my students, former students, just had her second child. Congratulations, Lindsay. Beautiful little baby. I think I am definitely going to invest in some live streaming software. Like this is really rudimentary stuff here. I mean, it gets the job done. Don't take me wrong in the YouTube studio, but yeah, I think I need some more bells and whistles here. Throw in some theme music. I actually thought about making theme music for this. I'm writing a new song for the outro on my videos because I got a copyright strike from BMG Music. So I am going to write something as a parody and use that for my outros and all my videos just to stick it to them. I can't wait. And it looks like one of my former Arkansas students is now expecting. Well, congratulations, Brianna. Andres, what are your thoughts on TikTok spreading misinfo? I mean, why limit it to TikTok, brother? Let's open it up to all the clowns spreading misinfo. I saw a page claiming themselves that they're a lawyer and that it's legal for people to be buried in their backyard if their zoning laws. Yeah, it absolutely is. That's not misinformation. That's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah. Most zoning laws don't allow it. Okay, so that's the fun part. Most zoning laws don't allow it. What you have to do is you have to approach your city governance if you want to do something like that. So the chances of a like a highly urban area permitting that is probably very low. But some place that is less urban, more rural would probably be not as difficult. And what you'll usually see, just for your benefit, what you'll usually see in those type of situations is when you are doing something like a family grave on your own property, you will have to, especially if you have to convince a government to allow you to do it, you will have to provide in some way, shape, or form a contingency plan for its upkeep. Um, so it's not just like, oh, I'm going to bury grandma out back. You have to bury grandma out back, and you have to come up with a plan so that her grave it maintains, some dignity, and put some consideration into what's going to happen if you ever want to sell the property. You're going to dig up Granny. She's going to go to the for-profit place. What's going to happen there? Um, there was so really cool, really cool take on that is a couple of years ago here in Miami. Zoo Miami lost one of their longtime employees, and they petitioned the city for permission, the city of Miami, in order to bury that person on the property of the zoo. And the city of Miami gave that permission because they're able to place him in the zoo property. The zoo's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, more than likely, and that would be a fitting memorial. So there are ways that you can get things like that done. But if I wanted to bury grandma out back here in my townhome, that ain't gonna happen, Bubba. Karsha, best respirator for embalming. Okay, so this is probably a very unpopular statement. I would probably say the 3M 7000 series. Let's see. 3M 7000. 7800 series. I'm sorry. It's a 7800 series. Um, so there's the little painter masks, right? And I'm not a fan of those personally. So, couple of reasons. Whenever I wear the painter's masks, they put pressure on the wrong places in my head. It gives me a headache. It's not the airflow, it's just the way the mask sits on me. I just don't like it. It's extremely uncomfortable. Not my thing. I love the full face 3M 7800s because everything on that is comfortable, and the way it distributes the weight makes it super comfortable for me, but they are ridiculously expensive. An actual 3M is like somewhere between 4 and 500 bucks. Advantage, everything on that mask is replaceable. So if a gasket goes, buy a new gasket. Head strap goes, buy a new head strap. Plexiglass gets trashed, buy a new plexiglass. Buy a new gasket for the plex. I mean, everything on that is meant to be updated and maintained. So it is an investment going forward. Um, my students have bought knockoff versions. So you can buy stuff for like $100 on Wish and Amazon and places like that. So what I will tell you from me to you, find one you find comfortable and use it. The only thing that matters is the type of cartridge you're using. So you want to make sure that no matter which one of these things you're getting, that you're getting the ones that protect against formaldehyde vapor, if that's a concern for you. I think it's like 69025 is the cartridge number. I've got a video on YouTube on that. Like, jump on the channel and type in what to wear in the prep room, and I give you my take on scrubs, respirators, shoes, undergarments, headlamps. I found headlamps to be extremely useful. Face masks, not just like a respirator, but the actual splash shield. The Honeywell UVEX is pound for pound the best one on the market. Like the $40 you spend on that is money well spent. But then that limits you as to what type of respirator you're going to wear because that mask is going to get in the way of something like that. Um, so yeah, I enjoy wearing a full face respirator. Um, it's hard for me to do that in labs because it muffles a lot of the sound coming out. But there are some models of this that are out there that actually take that into adjustment now, where if you're speaking, it allows the vibration to come straight out the front so you can be heard. But if you do pick something, like, let me know which one you picked and why you did. Always looking for like cheaper models for people. All right, Andres, thoughts on AI being involved in the funeral industry, such as decedents being given artificial life through technology, think it was under the chapter for trends in funeral directing. So you have AI is already prevalent in the funeral industry, and not in the way you would think, but from the business aspect of it. Um, Analytics, like business analytics, is all AI powered. All of that is AI powered, and that is a very useful thing to have in industry because that can really reduce some of the risk and give you information um, that you can use to like propel your business going forward. Now, AI in regards to interaction, I don't know how I feel on that. Like, we're not building a Cortana. We're not going to have a Cortana or even something close to a Cortana probably in the next 2 to 3 human generations. Even things like Chat GPT, which is making all the news now, people don't understand it's dumber than a brick. It is stupid. It is a predictor AI. It does not understand the words it's actually saying to you. It knows that based on whatever criteria you've given it, this is where the conversation should go. And when you run something like that, millions and millions and millions of conversations through an AI, it becomes very good at predicting where to take things based on how people in the past have responded to it. So you could legitimately take something like a chat GPT, come up with maybe a set of 3 or 400 questions or scenarios or something that a person would give feedback to. And the bot would actually learn how you would respond in given situations. And then it would emulate you based on what it knows about you. But the AI is not learning to be you, it's just learning your patterns, your predictions. That's all it does. Um, in one aspect, I think that would be very, very comforting for people. I wonder what my dad would think. And then you could basically ask your dad, and you would legitimately probably get something that would give you a response that perhaps your father or whoever, whichever loved one would give you. That is no different than basically mentalists playing you. Who was that clown on Sci-Fi Network? What was his name? I don't remember what his name was, but back in the day, um, sci-fi. There was some dude on there that would have an audience, and he would ask, "Someone's communicating with me right now. Um, your name starts with a J. It starts with a J, and it blah blah blah." And he's just playing you. He's playing you for an idiot, and he just asks all these vague questions, make these vague statements, and then you lead him in a direction, and he just knows how to read you and how to pull the information he needs to make this thing go forward. And for the love of me, I cannot remember what this series was called. Um, God, I remember watching this guy and being like, "Yeah, there's no way this guy's a medium. There's just like no way this guy's a medium. This is crap." And at the time, I didn't know much about any sort of this um, figuring you out sort of mentalism stuff. And then that's absolutely all it is. He's not psychic by any stretch of the imagination. He's just getting people to jump on the wagon. And then once you're on the wagon, he knows the questions and methods to pull the extra data out of you. So if people find that from psychics and mediums and stuff like that, then I don't think I'm going to have any problem with an AI doing it, because at least the AI is based off of the actual person that you are that you're wanting to communicate with. So that is like a really badass question, dude. Like legit. That was a really good question because I had never thought about it from the aspect of getting played by the AI, just like getting played by Madam Cleo or something like that. So yeah, I would actually support AI being involved in something like that if you needed something like that. We do see, however, that people tend to want to humanize, or they want to give life to their the word escapes me right now, but they want to give life to these physical objects. Like I can tell you right here, get my finger in the right place here. There is that little chihuahua. I've had that stupid animatronic since 1983. It's probably one of the oldest and only things I own from my childhood. Still works to this day. Haven't named it, but if something happened to this foolish thing, I would legit have a fit. Like I would legit have a fit because I've owned it for so long, and it's nothing. It was either I think I bought it at a Zayres or a Kmart. Um, had it forever, and you push it and it sings Feliz Navidad, but it means so much to me, and yet it's nothing. I have other things people have given me, things with far more emotional value that I don't view nearly as much and humanize as much as that stupid chihuahua. Sci-fi. This is really bugging me. I cannot remember the name of that damn series from back in the 90s. John Edwards. That was his name. Sci-fi John Edwards. What was it? John Edwards. Crossing over with John Edward. That's what it was. Man, that was going to eat me alive if I didn't figure it out. So John Edwards basically just played all the people on his show. Um, Now he's probably going to like hit me up for slander or something with my for broadcasting that. But legit, I don't think has any connection whatsoever. Um, Being not a psychic myself and reading the energy in the room, I just can't imagine it. Numbers been going up, numbers been going down. If you're new, feel free to drop something in the chat. Yeah, I'll hang on for about another 10 or 15 minutes. Someone tried calling me earlier. What is John Edwards doing these days? Oh, he's writing ebooks. Good for him. Let's see. Maybe that was a different John Edwards. John Edward McGee Jr. Okay. Dude, he did a 9/11 crossing over special. What? Yeah. So he did it. He apparently recorded a 9/11 special where he was going to communicate with survivors trying to reach their loved ones. And they pulled it before they ever released it because people were losing their minds over it. Nuts, dude. Uh, Professor Beckham told me that you're also a music major. What instruments do you play? And do you have a perfect? Nope, I can't do any of that perfect pitch crap. In fact, um, the music thing started when I was in grammar school. So I went to a Catholic school called Holy Rosary in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and they started a boy choir. And I didn't make it, like, at all. So the next year, after the choir started, they added music to the curriculum. And I started learning to sing and then joined the choir, or the choir selected me to join. And from there, it was kind of like go from there, but I've never had perfect pitch. There's a guy who travels throughout Florida on cruise ships, fraternity brother of mine by the name of Leon November, and he's got he's got essentially perfect pitch, like crazy. In high school, had this classmate by the name of Sam Cates, and our music teacher, Dennis Philman, God rest his soul, he could play all but one note in a scale, and Sam could identify what note that was. Never seen anything like it in my life at that point. Just crazy. Um, so after high school, went to USF, did political science business. When I needed to get rid of some credit hours, like just stuff to get full time status, I started taking voice lessons with a guy by the name of Jimmy Benny. And this guy was really, really, really good. Like, too humble for his own good, but extremely talented guy. Ridiculously talented dude. Outstanding career. Like, he's not going to be he should have been something like a Pavarotti, but he absolutely had a phenomenal career and started singing opera. So then I switched my major, went into music, got a full ride to go to University of South Florida as a music major, studied there, and finished up my undergrad eventually, became the grad assistant for the opera program, finished my graduate degree, and I finished my master's in music, like, what was that? May 2006. And I started mortuary school the third week of May 2006. I sang for 30,000 people at the USF Sundome singing the national anthem. And 2 weeks later, I was taking my first embalming course at St. Pete College. So I actually never went anywhere with it, other than the liturgical stuff that I was doing. Nowadays it's just for fun. So these days, really, I need to get my guitar. I need to bring my guitar in for a setup because I haven't played it in forever and it's in pretty poor condition. But I self-taught myself guitar. I'm not really that good at it, but I can strum out a couple of chords. And I play piano. And that's one of the reasons why I was in here cleaning up and trying to make things presentable, was not just because I'm live streaming my pigsty of an office, but because I've got a keyboard downstairs I'm going to bring up here and drop off on the desk, and I'm going to turn this literally into a digital workstation, both for the music aspect of it, as well as me just playing and doing stupid things with it, because I find that that's one of the things I really miss. Like, I guess someone asked me earlier, why did I step down? Because I miss doing my hobbies. Like, even at the funeral home, I would have a weekend off, and funeral home closed at 2 o'clock on Saturday. So I would grab my MacBook Pro, which is down there in my book. In fact, if I lift my arm, you can see the little silver thing right there. That's my old 17-inch MacBook Pro from like 2000 whatever, and it still has Logic and all my stuff on that. And that's where I did no, I was using GarageBand back then. I was using GarageBand, and I set up a microphone. a little mixer, um, plugged everything into my MacBook, started GarageBand, and just started like running tracks, recording over tracks, stuff like that. And I would legit go from 2 until 10 at night on a Saturday and just record there. And I had a key to the funeral home. I could be there all night and no one would care. So I got to do stuff like that. And it was and it's not much quieter in a funeral home than anywhere else. So legit, my owners didn't give a damn as long as it wasn't burning the place down. Do what you want. So I recorded all sorts of music there. Uh, and oddly enough, most of the stuff that I recorded there was really something along like a country western vibe slash Jimmy Buffett slash just like simple folk guitar-y stuff. Gather confessions. Good evening. Your license is New Jersey. I'm sorry. But I was trying to pass the West Virginia law exam. Any tips? I know nothing about the laws in West Virginia. Let's take a peek see at those. I can't imagine the West Virginia laws are too horrible. West Virginia. West Virginia Board of Funeral Service Examiners. Do. Apprentice funeral director, only applicants now being accepted. Okay, sure thing then, dude. Apprenticeship, funeral director, licensing exam. Here we go. Okay. Ontario state laws exam, like every other state, in addition to the national boards. If you're eligible in West Virginia, rules and regulations. So I'm gonna complete a 1-year apprenticeship in West Virginia after attending mortuary school. Yep. 60 hours equivalent to community college. Okay, so you have to have a 2-year degree. Yeah, so basically you either have to have like the old diploma plus a 2-year degree. You have to have a 2-year degree from a modern school. Passed both of the sections. Glad they say that. I'm surprised they don't have. Ooh, it's a 100 question exam. Florida's only 50. $315. Dear God. You'd think that they're printing these tests on like the skin of babies or something at $300 an exam. So where is, like, I can assume it's whatever 6 CR, whatever it was that they're updating. So let's look at laws. Here we go. All right, so they have all of the laws listed at WV Funeral. I'll just drop it in the chat, make it easy. Anyone have a West Virginia sky other than the one offered this online zone 3 inches? Dude, 3 inches? Florida's like almost 5 or 6. So yeah, I already know that West Virginia laws are probably easier than Florida. How big is this? 7 pages. Vital statistics. Okay. Board of Funeral Service Examiners. Okay, how big is this one? 26 pages? That ain't bad. How big is this one? 28? It's not bad. 24? Yeah. I mean, to put this in perspective, Florida Administrative Code 64K is like 127 pages by itself. And Chapter 497 is like another 98 pages. And that's just 2 of the laws that you have to know for the Florida Laws and Rules exam. So this isn't looking like horrible. What's this waiver? 3 pages. So legit, this is probably like total, like what? Couple, like 100 something. There's no mortuary school in West Virginia. Just curious how people study for the test. Same way you did mortuary school. Just start digging through it. Um, Generally, these laws exams stick with like really black and white stuff. It'd probably be useful for you to throw something like on Facebook or so there's a couple of groups on Facebook like NVE Prep is a pretty large one where all these people want to pass like the board exam there. You probably throw something like in that group and see if anyone is in West Virginia or West Virginia licensed or have taken the exam and if they can offer you some feedback. Um, if I had more time, I would like look through it or stuff like that. Yeah, because this is. But you know what? The hell with it. I'm just gonna download these and store them right now and take a peek. Because why not? So this is West Virginia. So thanks for recommending this in case I didn't have enough to do. I'm gonna download these laws and take a look at them. Just because I'm curious, like how hardcore all this stuff is in West Virginia. Because West Virginia is not known for being a fairly progressive state. So let's download this into West Virginia folder. Having never been licensed in West Virginia, I really don't want to give you like bad information. Here, you want to see this on the exam? Um, what was that? Postmortem test for people killed and 404. So let's hope they're not going to ask you any questions on Chapter 17C, traffic regulations of the laws, Article 5B, because PDF's not there anymore. We'll take a look for that here in a second. Chances are pretty good that it's still something you need to get. Let's see. That was 30-6. I would definitely note card and page through the definitions where IU, just because the definitions tend to be something that people like to pull from. Okay, I already got that one. You know what? I got a better way of doing this. Let's do new tab, new tab. That's what I should have done the first time. So give me a second, chat, in case people are throwing stuff up there. I legit want to download these and take a look. Oops. Go. Okay, let's hope there's no more 404 errors. Get rid of this one. I think the smallest state that I have seen so far is Arkansas. I think that was like only 47 pages. Like really, really concise laws. 100 questions seems a lot, though. Hope the renewal fee isn't as expensive. Let's do a save. Already got that one, I know. Let's see if I can find that one. I'm really spoiled by Florida because Florida has all of their stuff like completely online. The only thing they actually have in PDF format is their administrative codes. So let's drag this right here. Nothing new in the chat. Okay, good. Give me a chance to look this stuff up. Let's see. Chapter 30. Okay. Chapter 17C. Oh, 5B. There we go. Right at code.wv legislature. There's like nothing in this anyways. Um, let's just go ahead and copy paste that. Why would you even need to know this? Okay, maybe they took this out of the test because this has not. Well, Florida has plenty of laws they ask you to have nothing to do with anything to do with funeral directing. Hello, Microsoft Word. Bada bing. So if these were all in Word format, what I would probably say is start going through and deleting all the crap that you don't need to see. So to give an example, because you can probably convert PDF to Word, like just open a Microsoft Word and convert it into a Word format. So let me save this, save, drag it over here. All right, so, whoops, didn't want to do that. If I pop open Chapter 30, Article 6, Board of Funeral Directors and Funeral Service Examiners, I would start cutting out things like 30-6-2 short title, right out. Just boom, gone. That's human mind's a really interesting thing. And if there's a lot of clutter, even if it's clean, it still seems like a lot, and your mind kind of panics inherently. So by cutting out a lot of the crap that you don't even need to look at, your mind just will absorb the information better. At least that's been my experience, and I'll stick by it. Um, I would then go through and I would boldface every one of the terms, like authorized representative, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, oh Christ, you got like no definitions. Wow. To put this in perspective, you probably have like what? One, two, three, four, five, six. You probably have like maybe 30 definitions. I think I think 64K has something like 127 definitions, like just definitions. And then it goes on to from one to part two. The Florida laws are ridiculous. Like they're obscene. Um, and I would start chopping out things like Board of Funeral Service Examiners A is hereby continued and shall after be known as. I would probably delete everything past July 1st, 2002. Maybe they might ask a question, hey, what was it known as prior to 2002? Um, West Virginia Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors became the West Virginia Board of Funeral Service Examiners. Like item B would be important. Board consists of 7 people appointed for 4 terms, for a term of 4 years. And i- this is the same in most things. A governor appoints, Senate or a legislative body confirms. So not a lot there. What would be important would be the breakdown. 5 members must be licensed embalmers and funeral directors. So 5 of the 7 have to be licensees. 1 member is a citizen, um, who is not and will never be affiliated with funeral service, so they probably lose the right to be there. And must be somebody who's not licensed. Okay, if that's 6, then who's 7? Um, Number 7 is a person who operates a crematory. So there's a lot of language there, right? Commencing with the board terms beginning July 1st, 2002, the governor, blah, 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 blah. The 7th person is a person who operates a crematory. Boom. That's the 7. Florida has more than that. I think Florida has 9. No, they don't. I think they might have 7. They don't have as many licensees. Like I think there's only 2 actually licensed persons. Then one has to be a cemeterian. One has to. It's a weird one. I haven't looked at that in a while, which is odd because usually people ask me lots of. It's a tough test. Thought New Jersey was bad. I don't know much about New Jersey, other than I would never live there and I'd probably never get a license there. Funny story though, I had a student, one of my first students who graduated when I first started teaching, who uh, I think was going to inherit a funeral home in New Jersey. His name was Anthony Pagano, and he actually asked me, what would it take to get me to come to New Jersey and work for him? And looking back, I probably should have taken him up on it. So if you're licensed in Jersey and you know Tony Pagano, you let him know I said hi, and let him know I still have all my hookah stuff. I don't smoke it very often, but I still have my hookah stuff. He got me into hookah bad. Like him and I would just sit in my office and talk hookah. That's what I should bring up here is all my hookah stuff. I got some really cool glass stuff. Yeah, these are a bit stiffer um, than some of the other states I've seen, but not as stupid as Florida. Like I don't think any other, not even New York's as stupid as Florida, and that's as bureaucratic as it gets. All right, we got some more people. Dear God, like one or two come in, one or two go out. Feel free to drop something in chat. I'll probably split at 9:30, but until then, happy to hang out. I should wear my other glasses. These things, they look cool, but man, they put all the pressure like right back here in the ear. How big is the complaint? 7 pages for complaint. Complaint procedure is pretty thorough. Like what you need to actually put into the complaint. That's good. A lot of similarities. With the complaints they have basically probable cause committees. That's what we call them here in Florida. Probable cause committee consists of like 2 board members. Okay. Wow, the board can issue. That's cool. So 2.6.1 of Title 6 Procedure Rule 64 dash 2, 2.6.1. They have the power to issue subpoenas. I can't tell you that the Florida division has the authority to issue subpoenas. I think they have to work with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to do stuff like that. They have the right to certainly swear to request information and request that under oath, but not to compel you, like not to force you into it. You can just say like, talk to my attorney, suck it, have a nice day. Like I think in Florida they can request it, and you'd be stupid not to. Um, but if they want to compel you with a subpoena, they have to go to Department of Law Enforcement. I really should look at the Florida laws again, considering I live here. I'm supposed to be an expert on that stuff. Don't tell anyone. What's that? Nose cup assembly? Oh, okay. I know what part of the mask that is. Got it. All right, folks. Another about 10 minutes here. Now wrap it on up. Feel free to throw any last thoughts, last questions. Once again, everyone, thanks for stopping on by. This was fun. Definitely going to be doing this again. Like, I'm definitely going to be doing it. I might turn this in like a once a month thing. I might even live stream from the American board The American board floor. So the educators have their conference in April, like the first or second week of April. I might actually bring y'all up there and do a live stream right from the American boards trade show floor. They usually have like 7 or 8 little vendors. You see all the educators running around. That might actually be a pretty cool idea. Someone's going to be upset with me if I do it, so I really like the idea of doing it. If it's going to piss somebody off. Dude, I can't stop reading these West Virginia laws now. Okay, I got to stop. I don't want to be reading these laws all night. All right, I'm going to bring the chat right in there. That's interesting. Ah, there it is. Dink. Made the headlines today. Apparently, we shot something down over Alaska. Okay. Oh, God. And Florida made the top 10 at Fox News. Let's see what's going on at Huffington Post. Alaska made Huffington Post as well. Good for Alaska. Oh, come on. There's nothing about Florida on the front page of Huffington Post. I'm a little insulted. Hey, you're welcome. My pleasure. Why don't you take it, shoot something in one of my comments or stop by a live stream again. Let me know how you did on it. Like what was there. So if anyone literally asks that question again, that I'll be like, okay, yeah, if I heard this about, what's on the exam. It's pretty straightforward. It's definitions, stuff like that. That's the type of stuff I'm looking for. Just so I'm not giving like bad advice, good advice, and just say, oh, go look at the statute and look at the definitions. Because I mean, if I'm going to write questions for an exam, that's one of the first things I'm going to look at is there anything in the definitions that would catch you off guard? Um, there's a couple things in the Florida definitions that when I was reading through, I was like, whoa, hold on a second. What? No, I don't do any sort of tutoring. I legit don't have the time for that. Like between people wanting board tutoring, people wanting like Florida laws tutoring, I just don't have the time for it. I wish I did. Maybe if I quit teaching, if I quit teaching, I'll have plenty of time for it if I do that. All right, folks. I said I'd wait till 9:30, but I'm literally getting tired. And big dude like me getting hungry is also gonna make me grumpy. So, hey everyone, it was great. Had a great time. Definitely gonna do this again. Send me some ideas for the next live stream, maybe some articles and stuff like that, and I'll be happy to pull that stuff up and talk and comment on it. So everyone have a good night, and I will see you next time.